Hi, I'm Joe Murphy. Over the past two sessions, I've been talking about the Kubler-Ross change curve. And it's Kubler-Ross change curve. All right, I've got my back to you. I apologize. I'm going to redraw the curve so that you can see it. This curve, this x-axis is where you have morale. Okay, and then down here, or competence, in some cases, I've seen it, competencies, what happens. Then this is time. It's always time down here. This is time. And on this graph, somebody introduces change. Your boss introduces change, or her boss's boss, a boss. We've got to do this change. It could be anything. Worst is layoff. Or the organization, and then the organization changes and you lose some responsibility. But change is introduced here. And I mentioned this on my previous videos. You embrace the change, okay? And instead of going into shock, you embrace it. But here's shock. Then you go into denial. And the whole part of this whole point to this is phase one, by the way. This is phase one. The whole point to this is you don't have to go through all these stages or phases. You can jump right to phase three. Okay, this is two, excuse me. This is three. And this is you hit a frustration level, like, this is happening to me, I can't believe it. Of course, that's denial. I cannot believe, I'm getting so frustrated, I can't believe this has happened. And then you go into a depression. And a lot of people believe you have to go through each one of these stages in order to come out on the other side, which is over here, experiment. I'll just abbreviate that. And then you make a decision to embrace it. And then number three is integrate. You're totally integrated and you're on board. You don't have to do this. You don't need to sit here and wallow in the pain of 2 to 3 weeks of depression or frustration, or whatever time period. Everybody's different. And I'm not denying that you need, I'm not saying avoid your feelings. I'm giving you a different mindset shift. And that's what we're talking about today. Mindset shifts, okay? Mindset shifts. You choose what to think. Nobody chooses for you. Now, you may be a puppet on a string, because you don't know you can actually do this. But if you're in control of your mindset, you can shift your mindset. And I'm going to give you some key words that you can use to shift your mindset today. I need to make sure that everybody understands this, though. Going through any kind of a shocking change, you're just going to change the way you feel, your emotions. It's stress. It's stressful. Now, I said it's in your head. And it is in your head. But what's in your head affects your body. How you react or respond to change determines how you're going to feel. Now, what happens when change occurs and you are not party or privy or actively involved in deciding on the change, it feels like it's being done to you. Does that make sense? It feels like it's being done to you. And what naturally happens is our defense mechanisms go up. It goes to fight or flight. We go to the amygdala, the little almond-shaped organ in the base of our brain that's been with us since prehistoric times. And the reason it gets activated, it goes to fight or flight. It gets activated because of the stress hormones and cortisol and adrenaline. Now, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to show you, or at least give you examples. You can change your feelings. I'm not saying avoid them, but you can change your feelings by shifting your mind and going from this fear idea that this is something that's happening to you. So it really is causing fear to wake up within you. And instead of going be fearful, turn it into excitement. Not many people know this, and I didn't know it until I started studying psychiatry, is that when the adrenaline flows through our body because of a fear response, it's the same exact adrenaline that flows through us when we have a party and we see somebody that we haven't seen for a long time. We're excited to see them. That same excitement, that same adrenaline is the same adrenaline as the fear adrenaline. It's not two different types of adrenaline. Okay? You can switch it. You can switch it. It's not that easy. It takes practice. All right, so what am I saying here? You don't have to go through fight or flight and then go through each one of these stages in the Kubler-Ross change curve diagram that I've laid out here. You can go from phase 1, shock, to embracing it, as I mentioned before, embracing it. Okay. Well, now I'm going to give you some more words. Because whenever a change is introduced that we have not been part of, helping decide, again, I mentioned this, feels like it's being done to us, we lose our locus of control. Psychologists say that we have a locus of control, that the more that we feel like we're in control of our own lives, okay, the better we feel. The better we feel, the more centered we are. The moment somebody moves this locus of control out of ourselves, that is, they take our locus of control and it feels like they're in control, this is when fear kicks in. And we feel like we're floating through space and it's like we're not in control of anything. I'm telling you, we're going to switch this back. Even if you were not involved in the change, I'm telling you, you can act as if. Act as if you were. Tell your brain saying, you know what? If I was going to do this change, this is what I would do too. And embrace it. I mentioned that earlier. This will act as if it was your idea. Say, you know what? This is actually a pretty good idea. And you're changing the way you think about it. Instead of going through denial, I can't believe this, I don't know, I can't blah, blah, blah. All the stories you start telling yourself, this whole idea can be done by changing the way you think about it. I'm going to give you some more words. Okay, I got embrace and act as if. If you're taking notes, you want to write those down. We tend to do this when we're looking at the idea of being in denial, where we refuse to accept reality. We get angry. I want you to accept reality. This is it. This is change. I embraced it. And then what happens is if we stay in denial, we start bargaining and we're trying to delay the idea of any sort that we should change, and it creates frustration and even depression. When we get to final acceptance, when we get to this phase of acceptance here, this whole idea of embracing the change early on means we jump to acceptance. And this is where we come to terms with making sure we can actually move forward. Okay, this is critical. Now I'm going to give you a couple other words. I said I was going to do that. You can make the jump from here to here. What happens is after we embrace the change, that's mindset shift 1, we're starting to bypass the fear response, or the fear reaction, the fight or flight. The second thing that we can do there is that what we can do is see all change not through this lens of a lens or glasses of fear, but change the words that we see in terms of change being a problem. Because when we see change that we're not in control of, we see it, all change that we're not in control of creates fear, because we don't know what the end result is going to be for us. And therefore, change becomes a problem. All right? I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to leave it for the next video. I'm going to pick up right here, where I'm going to give you a new set of lexicon to see change from, instead of being a problem, so that you can reinforce jumping from phase 1 to phase 3. Thanks for watching. I am Joe Murphy, and I'm here for your success.